And I was reminded of, there's a word in the introduction, integrity. And I was reminded of, I did a funeral for a man who was in his 70s, and the last word of the obituary that was written by his family who loved him, he was an attorney by training and trade. And they said his name, his birth date, a dash, and a death date. And the phrase at the end of it, there were all the accomplishments. And at the end it said, always a man of integrity. And I found myself thinking, like, that's really the journey that we're on, is to move from compartmentalization to integration of life, faith, and work and rest. And if you integrate things, the root of the word integration is the same root for integrity. It's being the same person in public and private, whether you're at work or at home, with your friends or your colleagues. The goal would be to get to become the kind of person who lives a life of integrity, where everything we do, in fact, is with all of our heart. And who we are in the grocery store is the same as who we are on the highway. And I fully admit that is an aspiration for me. It's not where I find myself today, but I take great heart and hope in who we are today is not the full picture. It's not the full story. And there's this great spiritual that says, nobody knows who I am until Judgment Day. And I take that to the bank. I'm waiting. The full picture of the story of my life can be told only at the end. And that's the case for you as well, and all of us. And so if you long to become the kind of person who partners wholeheartedly with God, whatever it is that you do, if you want to become a man or a woman of integrity, this week is an opportunity. We're 4 weeks into this thing. Now's the time to actually dig into these questions and ask yourself some deeper questions about who you are and who you want to become. Katie has set the table beautifully for us. And, I would encourage you to just really dig into these questions about how you show up for yourself and others. I love this quotation, Katie, that you offer from Mother Teresa as you close it out. Do you mind reading it?
Yeah. So God does not call us to be successful. He calls us to be faithful. This quote reminds me, I was kind of looking recently at Paul's life at the end when he's writing the letter to Timothy. And he says these his famous last words of, I fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And I think, wow, at this point, he's not talking about his accolades or how many churches that he planted or the work in which, he has done within these churches and raising disciples. He, connects with his faith as something that he, in the end, is holding on to. I have kept the faith. I've held on. I've been faithful. And often, faithfulness is seen in the small, unseen, ordinary moments, day after day after day, partnering with the Lord, seeking God, and following after him and loving people. And so I was just thinking, God calls us to be faithful, to keep the faith. This world can make you lose faith really quickly, just turning on the news or listening to all these stories, it can make you lose heart. And so I was just thinking, to practice faith, to practice keeping the faith, it again takes intention, and it takes practice, and it takes showing up in these small ways. But the thing we know about any time of when you're building or breaking a habit, or when you're trying to make progress in anything, it is the small little moments that make or break something that we're working towards. And so it's these small, ordinary moments that God calls us to be faithful in. And everybody, what the Lord calls you to be faithful in, yes, there's some generic, he calls us to love God and love people. But what is he calling you to be faithful to? What is he calling me to be faithful to? And what does that mean in my present everyday life? What does that mean in your present everyday life?
Yeah, and I think one of my encouragements as we kind of close out this particular conversation is that it may not mean that you have to jump ship from your major, or now I need to go into vocational ministry or whatever, that I hear some people sometimes say. go do the thing that you're doing,
Right.
whatever that is, and do it as unto the Lord.